Patrick is sitting over there. Many of us won't know Patrick. I don't know him that well either, but we'd like to perhaps hear from yourself and just come and share testimony. Would that be okay? Yeah? If you want to come up.
Hi, everyone. I don't know where to start, really. I think that my story is perhaps different to most of the stories that I've heard through listening to the channels on YouTube and, various testimonies from witnesses both over here and in the States. In that most of the testimonies I hear normally have some element of disaster involved in them, where they fell foul of the witnesses in some way or the other. But my testimony isn't like that at all. In fact, I thoroughly enjoyed my whole time being a Jehovah's Witness. I really did. I loved it. I loved the brothers. I come from a lovely congregation. And, my time and my whole life as a Jehovah's Witness I was born in was for the most part enjoyable. Obviously there was the odd maniac elder around, but every congregation has one of those. But for the most part, my life as a Jehovah's Witness was thoroughly fulfilling and enjoyable. Why am I here then? I hear you ask. Well, what led me to here was essentially because I believed the witnesses had the truth. Now that may sound like nonsense, but let me explain what I mean. Because during my time as a witness, I believed the witnesses had the truth. I believed that everything that they told us we needed to do to gain salvation. I thought, I can't do that. I just can't do it all. The relentless meetings, the relentless going out on the service, the relentless preparing, whatever you were doing, you weren't doing enough. And I was a lover of God. I really did love God, and I wanted to be a servant of God. But I thought, well, if this is what God really, really wants me to do in order to be in his kingdom, perhaps it just isn't for me. And like we were hearing earlier on, that scripture just keeps coming back to me about Jesus saying, come to me if you're burdened, heavy laden and burdened down, because my load is light. And so there was a contrast for me. Over here, Jesus is saying, my load is light. And the witnesses over here saying, this is the truth, but the load is heavy. It just didn't go together for me. And essentially, I got used to seeing people leading double lives within the witnesses. You'll see them at the meeting on the Friday and the Sunday, and then the nightclub on the Saturday, and so on and so on. And I realized that because I at least wanted to worship God in honesty and in truth, I couldn't be a half in, half out, double life leading sort of person. So I thought to myself, I'm either going to be fully in or fully out. And but push come to shove, I realized I couldn't be fully in, so I had to be fully out. But they say, you can take the man out of the cult, but you can't take the cult out of the man. It was always in there, on my ear. As time was going by, every time you saw something on the news, 9/11 was happening, and disasters, earthquakes in Japan, I'll be getting closer to Armageddon. Well, I've not got much longer left in this world. When it comes, at least, I'd have had an enjoyable life and I'll be gone. But I got to a stage in my life where things became a lot more settled in terms of my personal life, my working life. And I thought to myself, well, it's still there in the back of my mind, they've probably got the truth. And every time Bible discussions came up, I would always give the party line, the Jehovah's Witness line. When you're at work and something about the Bible comes up, I would always still give them the party line. And you'd hear somebody telling a story about something that happened to them, and I'd be directing them, I can't do it myself, but if you want the truth, go to the witnesses, get yourself to a kingdom hall, and so on and so forth. So I started to think to myself, well, look, here I am, directing people that are looking for the truth to go to the witnesses, and I'm not doing it myself. Maybe it's about time I thought about going back to it, you know. So this this is the wonderful way that Jesus works. I started to look into going back. And as a result of looking into going back, I started to do some research on the internet, and I came across those wonderful JW Apostate websites. The wonderful channels by Jason. Loved Mark and Cora's channel. I've watched nearly all your videos. Loved your stuff, and it's so great to see you in person. Shazulu, Brian at 21 Crosscheck 21, and Bill the Snarky Apologist. All these great guys that really have a love for the truth and the love for Christianity and the brothers. They just want people to not be deceived. And so, as a result of that, I thought, hang on a second, I better look into this a bit more. And I came across, one of the first videos I came across was Bill and Joan Setnar's broadcast, the very, very first one they did on the John Ankerberg show in America, you know, when Joan had the big hair, that one. And I just thought, oh my God, these guys lived at Bethel. They knew the governing body members. They were third generation, born in Jehovah's Witnesses. And yet they had problems. They had questions. They had things that just didn't add up for them. So if these people that I would have considered deep, deep into the truth had issues, then we could all have issues. You know, what other questions might there be? Now, my big thing was the 607 1914 doctrine. I spent a month, literally, I didn't go to work, I took time off work, and spent a month doing nothing but looking at the Bible, researching 607, contacted the British Museum, had emails going backwards and forwards to the British Museum about publications, about cuneiform tablets, about the whole lot, you know, VAT 4956 or whatever it was, the Nabonidus Chronicle. I just had to know. And it got to the point where it became pretty conclusive to me that 607 is in error. All I wanted to do was serve God in truth, and I knew that if 607 was wrong, everything else must be wrong. And as soon as I got to that point, I thought, right, where's Crisis of Conscience? Because that was the publication everybody kept talking about, but I wouldn't look at it because it was like this big apostate edifice that you... So anyway, I got to my computer, my hand was shaking as I was downloading Crisis of Conscience, you know. Is God going to cause some sort of disaster if I open this up? Anyway, I opened it up and read it flat out, straight through. Couldn't put it down. And then on completing Crisis of Conscience, I knew that I'd never set foot inside a Kingdom Hall ever again in anger. The only reason I'd go into a Kingdom Hall now is to drag people out of it. So Crisis of Conscience, get it, read it. If anybody is sitting on the fence, have got doubts, not sure what to do, that will open your eyes, because it really tells you everything that this whole religion is based on. And so, in essence, once your whole life, your whole belief system, I'm over 40 years old, I'm the same age as Mark actually, I'm 50 this year as well, Mark. Once all that has been torn to pieces, you're there thinking, what is it then? What have I been doing for the last 50 years? Where do I go from here? And so, moving on from there, continuing to do my research on the internet, I came across Joan Setnar's Witnesses Now for Jesus broadcasts and just lapped them up, just absolutely lapped them up, because everyone that came up and gave a testimony, I could feel it here, could feel it in my heart. I knew what they were talking about. The bullet points were hitting home. You know, every fear that every Jehovah's Witness must have, that all comes out. and you can just see the reality of it. And there was Jones saying the answer is you have to come to Jesus. And so I got my New World Translation, and I got a New Revised Translation. I put my New World Translation down, flicked through the scriptures that I used to read in New World Translation, and all of a sudden the Bible just comes alive in your hand. You know, throughout my whole time as a Jehovah's Witness, you'd go to the circuit assemblies, the Dictors' assemblies, and you see these people up on stage telling their wonderful experiences and how much Jehovah's done for them in their life and what's going on. And I just never felt it. I just could not. I wanted to feel it. I really wanted, but I just couldn't feel it. I did my best. I wanted to be a good Jehovah's Witness, and on the whole, I was a good Jehovah's Witness, but it wasn't here. But within a very short space of time of reading the Bible, a proper Bible, not a plastic Bible, a proper Bible, read the book of Romans. You read the book of Romans, you walk away from there knowing that you're anointed. You know that you have a guarantee. And that just changed my life. It really did. I love Jesus now. I love to serve God. I could talk about God all day long. Honestly, all day long, and not be bored. That's all I want to do. And so now I feel it. Now I feel it. And all the struggles that I had, you know, to try to be a good Jehovah's Witness, working on the fruitages of the Spirit, all those things, it's not work anymore. The Holy Spirit gives you the ability to do these things. You just feel it coming through you. And the calmness, the peace that comes from knowing that you're in the real truth, not the fake truth. That is where I am now. And I'm going to hold on to that for the rest of my life until Judgment Day. And that is my testimony. So I don't hate the witnesses. I love them even more because I want to help them. I know how deceived they are. I've got family that are still in. I'm doing my best to work on them, but it's going to be hard. They're deceived and they don't know it. That's the hardest thing. They do not know it. So, brothers, this is a fantastic work that's going on at the moment. I'm so glad I'm here. I always knew to myself, if ever an event like this ever occurred in the UK, I would not miss it. I had to be here. And I hope this continues. I hope there's even more than one a year. Think on that. But, yes, I had no bad experiences with the witnesses. I loved my brothers and sisters. And I loved, you know, serving Jehovah the way that I thought I was serving Jehovah at the time. But it was wrong. Now I've got the truth, and I hope to give that truth to everybody else that I meet that wonders what the truth really is. And that's my testimony. Thank you very much.